Bookcase and Coffee presents Buzzing About Romance, a quick shot of romance.
On this quick shot of romance, I am joined by Rachel, who is Read with Rach on Instagram, and we are reviewing The Lake House by Micky Miller. This is book one in his Brewer Brother series. Welcome back to the podcast, Rachel.
Thanks for having me back.
Do you want to read the synopsis?
Yeah. What do you do when you accidentally end up in bed with a sexy younger musician? You act like it never happened, of course. You never kissed each other after that third glass of wine. You didn't swoon when he played you a song on his guitar. Never ran your hands over those ripped abs. And you definitely didn't have the hottest, most toe-curling, wild night of your life with him. Never happened. This summer was for getting over my divorce, not under a musician. There's one little problem, though. You don't choose who you fall in love with. Maddox Brewer is a rock star and too young for me. But when it comes to love, nothing is ever simple. Bestselling author Mickey Miller brings you a steamy romance about what happens when sparks fly between an older woman and a younger man.
Okay, so this book was released July 17th of 2019, so it's a couple years old. The tropes are reverse age gap, vacation fling, and musician. And the steam level, I say it's about a 3 out of 5 because there's not a lot of scenes, but the scenes that we get are very steamy.
I would definitely agree with that.
And this book you can actually find in Kindle Unlimited because actually I think all of Mickey Miller's backlist is in Kindle Unlimited. Okay, so first off, let's talk about that prologue.
It cracked me up. It was one of the best prologues I've read in a while, honestly.
It was, because she is married in the prologue, and Maddox is a teenager.
He's 18, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
Like there's some confusion, like the way it's written, like how old things happen, because like they have this run-in in the prologue, but then they say they haven't seen each other for like 18 years, and it seems kind of like the timeline seemed a little bit off, but that happens. But yeah, so he's hitting on her in this prologue, and she's flirting back, but like unintentionally. And then she's like, he's a baby. Like, what am I doing?
Yeah, I loved that because like their age gap is 10 years. And I don't think like current day, like present day, it's that big of a deal with their ages. But like 28 and 18, like the maturity, like all of that is just a lot different.
I feel like it's a big difference because like 10, and if you read the book, they are 9 years and 10 months. She says it like specifically in one point. But like when they re-meet at the lake in the prologue, because their houses are next to each other. So she has interacted with the Brewer brothers forever, like since she was little, because her parents have owned this house since she was little, and his uncle has owned that house for years. So they always like they go every year and have like big parties and everything. So yeah, in that prologue, like there's a huge difference in that gap. But when they meet again, it's not as bad because, and honestly, like he is not an immature 26. He has graduated from college. He has went through life a little bit. Like 26 is still kind of a baby, but he is going for his PhD in poetry, and like he is not floundering. Like, yes, he's kind of not sure what he wants to do, but like he's making these decisions to further his education. He's making these decisions to try and become a musician again, because he had been part of a band and was touring, and that kind of fell apart. And so he backed away from that and made the decision to go get his PhD.
Yeah, and he is also not like a playboy, which I think makes a big difference too, in my opinion, because a lot of 26-year-olds that we read about in romance novels, they're like still sowing their wild oats. Like,
yeah, exactly. And that's one of the things that I loved about it, is because both the heroine and the hero, like they both had breakups within the last year, but they were both celibate the entire time. And you don't always get that. And I don't need it, but I really, really enjoy it and appreciate it when it happens.
I completely agree because not only do you not really see it, but if when you do see it, it's typically only the heroine was celibate.
Yeah.
That's typically how it works. So I thought it was refreshing that they both were.
It was, and it gives it a more realistic appeal to it because there are lots of people out there where, like, if they're not in a relationship, they're not sleeping with people. If they're not in a relationship, like, they are celibate. Like, they don't go out and sleep with just random people, or like maybe they do it and it happens and they're like, why did I do this? Like, they regret that decision. But there are lots of people in the world that they only sleep with the people they're in relationships with.
Yep, I completely agree.
So let's talk. So Maddox is a complete creeper at first, like, not in a bad way. But so he gets to, like, he is at the house and she is at the house, but she does not know he's at the house. So he is watching her and, like, avoiding certain floors in their lake house so that she can't see him.
Because the walls are made of glass.
Right.
In parts of the house.
Like, he's creeping on her because he's, like, paying attention to her schedule and, like, going to, like, the floor where he gets the best view.
It was super creepy, but also very funny. Like,
well,
he did eventually, like, draw a line, right? Like,
well,
we're not going to spoil what happened, but he was like,
even
okay,
admitted, like, I'm being creepy.
Like, I'm being creepy and it ends tomorrow. Yeah. Like,
well, but I like too, though, because he wasn't sure who this person was. So, like, I think that was part of his hang up also, because he did not recognize her right away. And so he's watching her, and I think the creep factor is a little bit lower because he's trying to figure out who it is. But then he sees her in a certain outfit and he's like, oh my gosh, this is who it is. And that is, like, the catalyst for him making the creeping stop.
Yeah, that's true. I kind of forgot about that part. Yeah, he just wanted to know who it was.
He did. He really, really did. Because there's something that happens that he was like, whoa, I need to know this person. So Sherry, let's talk about Sherry. So Sherry's still kind of reeling from her divorce, and she's trying to figure things out. Like, and her ex, like, seems like a giant douche nugget.
I completely agree. Like, he sounds awful and manipulative and just a total jerk.
Because she is they're both professors at a college, and so research is a big part of her job. And so, like, she constantly is talking about how she would write papers, and he'd be like, this isn't good, or she would try and do something. He's like, why do you want to do this? She talks about how she would do trivia nights, and would say how stupid it was and why would she want to do that, but yet he plays video games. It's like, that's not stupid,
right? He's awful. I'm glad we didn't see too much of him.
Yeah, we did not actually see him at all. It was only her, like, not even venting her frustrations, but her talking to her best friend about how he wasn't, or her best friend telling her how he was not supportive when she is going through these inner musings about age gaps and where she should go with her paper that she's trying to write and the choices that she should be making. So one thing No, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
So one thing I really loved is, like, her inner voice. She had, like, her down-to-earth inner voice who, like, tried to keep her on the straight and narrow. And then she had Sharita, who was her sassy sidekick and telling her to do all the bad things.
Yes, I did love how she did have, like, two inner voices and then named them. Like, I loved Sharita, and I loved that, like, she acknowledged that maybe Sharita's actually right. It wasn't even, like, giving in to, like, the little devil on her shoulder. It was like, she's like, she's right.
Yeah. Sharita speaks the truth, and she's logical. Like, her logic is strong.
Yeah, I was pretty frustrated with Sherry for, like, the first part of the book, and then definitely, like,
the last part. I just wanted to shake her. But I've always had a hard time, like, connecting with reverse age gap. One, because I mean, I'm only 28, so like,
any like type of age gap, it would just be like not really possible at this point in my life.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and this is a reread for me. And so I went back and read, and at the time I was not 37, but I am 37 now. And like, I could understand the hangups that she has in that situation. I mean, granted, my life is vastly different than the way hers is laid out, but I can totally understand like looking at it just from my age, like that perspective. Like, what would it be like if I was interested in a guy who was 26? Like, is that something that I would want to pursue? Like, even if he was this put together, like emotionally, like mature guy, like how would I feel in that situation? And so like her hang up, it did bother me, but at the same time, like I understand it because I am living that age right now.
Yeah, I think that would make it easier for me to not want to just completely shake her, because I'm like, he's so put together. Like, I have guy friends that are way less put together than him. Like, what's really going on, Sherry? What's really going on? But at the same, like, I do get it, but I didn't always understand how long it took her to like realize that it might just be okay.
Well, and I truly feel like the age gap was just her excuse for a lot of it. Like, she was unsure about so many things in her life because of her douche nugget of an ex-husband. And I think that all of those insecurities and all of that confusion that she has, she just manifested it into, well, he's 10 years younger. That must be the problem. Like, it is not the fact that I didn't have support in this like 10-year marriage that I was supposed to have. Like, Maddox is supporting these decisions and we have intelligent conversations, but at the same time, like, I didn't have this before. Why do I deserve it now? So it must be the age gap that is the problem.
Yeah. And you can tell there's some other insecurities going on there too, because she talks about it. She's like, why would he want me? Like, I'm 10 years older than him. Like, why would he want me?
Right. Well, and she even, like, her parents are divorced. They did not have a good relationship. Like, and that was something that they talk about after the fact. Like, when she and her best friend Mandy are having a conversation about what she really wants and where she needs to be. And it's like after they've broken up, like towards the end of the book.
Right.
And those conversations make her really like open her eyes to like how much her history has shaped her decisions in when they break up.
Yeah. Yeah. Because even with the breakup, it's like, I'm 10 years older than you. Like, you deserve better. Like, that kind of thing. And yeah, so I could understand it, but I still was like, Sherry, come on, he's perfect.
He was, because he made this, like, the decision, like, when he was all in, like, he was supportive, like, he was a dirty bird at times, but she liked that. And like when she gave him that romance novel to read, like, that was just so funny because, and I had to laugh because I am constantly like, he has these inner thoughts about romance novels. And there are certain books that I read and I have those inner thoughts and annoyances when things are not going like the way I want. Like, I get mad at my Kindle. I want to junk punch and dick punch multiple heroes every week. And so like, I can understand, like, those are valid reactions.
I completely agree. I loved that so much.
But one thing I thought was good, though, because even when they were broken up, like, Maddox, when we get back to his chapter, he talks about how he wants to contact her, but she was so final, like, with saying, like, it wasn't, I can't do this, like, the age gap is too much, like, you need to do things for yourself. But even then, like, he wavered so much about contacting her. Like, she cut off, like, cold turkey, and she said, I'm going cold turkey. But he really went back and forth. Yeah,
which I completely understand. And then I loved his conversation with his brother.
Jocko, I think, is my favorite Brewer brother, to be honest.
And
And
his
I really
name
hope we
is
get more.
just,
Yeah.
his name's funny, but I
I
love the
feel so
conversation
bad.
with his brother because it's talked about how they're close and we like saw them for like their like birthday bash,
Mm-hmm.
but we didn't really see too much of the brothers. So I really liked that conversation.
Yeah,
Like it
because
was funny.
they talk
It
about
was
like
just
what you
funny.
the dynamic between all the brothers and how close they are,
Mhm.
even with their parents, like the type of relationship that they have. But we didn't get to see a lot of that. Like there were little snippets here and here, and like you get a decent amount of Jocko because like he has talked to him, and Jocko has his own like little ruses that he's doing at the birthday bash, which Max gets real mad at him about that. But I wanted more of the brothers' interaction just because it's funny because they talk about Travis, but nobody really knows what Travis does. Like, but he's the brother that has the mystery around him. And then there's Emmett and Jocko and Travis, and I don't remember the other one's name, but there's 5 brothers and then a sister who I feel bad for her.
That would be terrible. Growing up with 5 brothers, no thank you.
It's a lot of testosterone in a house.
Yeah, no.
So, but I did really like the ending and the way they came back together. Like I thought that was really sweet and organic. Like I didn't feel forced at all.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like I thought everything about their relationship really made sense, from like how they got together to the breakup to how they got back together. I was never like questioning whether that's how it would actually happen. It all made a lot of sense to me. And even though there was that like fairly dramatic breakup, the book was pretty low angst.
It was.
Which I also
like,
appreciated.
There was a lot of back and forth, but it wasn't too much. And it was more internal musings of her, to be honest. Like Maddox knew what he wanted, and he was trying to convince her like this was the smart choice. So it was more internal musings of angst. So
yeah, it wasn't like rip your heart out, like, oh my gosh, like I can't believe they're doing this. Yeah, which it makes sense because they're both very mature characters. So you wouldn't expect a ton of drama.
Exactly. So did you like this book?
Yes, I really like this book.
I did too, and I loved the dynamic between Maddox and Sherry. Like I thought that they played off of each other really well. Like they both really brought out the best of each other, whether or not they realized it or not.
Yeah, I completely agree with that.
So who would typically like this book?
So I would say anyone who likes reverse age gap for sure. And then also the whole childhood crush to lovers. Like Maddox had a huge crush on her since he was like 8 years old. Yeah, which obviously she didn't have
that
a crush
whole
on
little
him.
like conversation like about like
yes,
that's really funny.
So I thought that was like a fun piece of the story. And then anyone who likes the whole like fling or friends with benefits type of relationship that turns into more, I think they'd like this book.
Definitely. And also people who like heroes and heroines that have a really intense connection. Because I felt like you could really, Mickey Miller like really gave you like the right words and feelings on the page that you could feel that connection between them. Yeah,
that's so true.
So would you recommend this book?
I would definitely recommend this book.
Yes, I would too. And I really enjoy any Mickey Miller book that I've read. And he is in the minority of being a male author writing romance, because you don't find a lot of male authors writing romance.
Yeah. Yeah, this is one of the first male romance authors I've read. I've read one other Mickey Miller book before this, but I'll be reading more.
Okay. So if you are part of the summer reading challenge, this book, you can fill squares on card 1, card 2, and card 4, and possibly more. So just keep an eye on those. And if you are not a part of the summer reading bingo challenge and you want to be, just visit buzzingaboutromance.com and you'll find all the details and all the bingo cards and all the amazing prizes and giveaways that we have to offer on the website. So thank you, Rachel, so much for joining me for this quick shot of romance.
Thanks, Leah.
Okay. Happy reading, everybody.
Find us on Instagram at Buzzing About Romance or on Twitter at Buzzing Romance. If you like the podcast, please leave a review. If you'd like to support us directly, join the Bookcase and Coffee Patreon and receive exclusive content only available to Patreon members. Check out bookcaseandcoffee.com for our on-the-shelf show notes.